Oi, 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 everyone. Welcome back to another video. Grab some water. Be sure to unclench your jaw because today we are upping your Survivor gameplay. But I do have to rip a band-aid off of you first. Look, sometimes survivors are the real killers in DBD. You know it, and I know it. Yes, that means you could be part of the problem too. Look, it doesn't mean you're a bad player. In many ways, this could mean you're just overeager or overambitious. So today, we are going to help you learn the 5 things that are killing you and or your teammates so that you can stop doing them. Item number 1 is hook time mismanagement. We have all seen it or been a part of it. It can feel like you get hooked and either get unhooked immediately in the killer's face for no reason, or you sit on the hook for 60 seconds until you hit stage 2, while one person sits on a gen confident that they can finish it, one other person gets chased, and the other one finishes their monster energy over in the corner. The idea here is to know when to stick to a generator and finish it, and when to leave it for the unhook. A generator takes about 80 seconds to complete, whereas a survivor who just got hooked takes about 60 seconds before they start having to struggle. The general rule of thumb that I give myself is that if the gen that I am on is less than 60 to 65% of the way done, and I'm by myself, work on it for a few more seconds and then leave to go get the unhook. If my gen is 60 to 65% done or higher, then that generator probably has about 35 seconds left on it. I should finish my gen up and then go get the unhook on my teammate if it hasn't already been done, all right? Now, when it comes to trading or getting immediate unhooks, there is almost no benefit to unhooking a survivor in the killer's face unless the killer is actually legitimately face camping and that survivor is about to go into stage 2, all right? Any other time, if you're about to unhook right in front of the killer, it makes no sense. There is no reason to not give that killer time to walk away. Allow that killer to go hit somebody else. Watch the health states on your screen, and once that killer is engaging in another chase, then get the unhook, all right? Be patient with your unhooking, because if you unhook too soon after the killer hooks, you're giving the killer a ton of incentive to come back because they go, oh, well, there's 2 people here now. It makes it very easy for them, all right? Item number 2, unhooking and hiding and not pulling aggro. Being hooked repetitiously until you're dead is no fun at all. I can attest to that. But what people don't consider is how their teammates can leave them out to dry after an unhook. If you're unhooking a survivor and notice the killer returning to the hook, it is your responsibility to help that survivor get away safely and to pull aggro. This means that you take a hit. This means that you try to body block the killer. You try to pull them into you. You try to help your teammate get away, okay? No unhooking and hiding. When you unhook and hide and your teammate runs away, you're leaving the killer no choice but to follow the scratches of the person who is unhooked, and killers will accidentally do this as well. They will follow scratch marks, and then once they see who they've been chasing, they go, well, I'm here already, so gonna do what I'm gonna do here. All right, a lot of people will make the argument that the killer should look harder for the person who did the unhooking, or should see that they're chasing the person who got unhooked and then walk away, but my argument is that you should be willing to take the next chase and defend your teammate so that they may go get some stuff done, all right? After all, if that killer eliminates your teammate, a 3v1 is a lot harder for you to win as a survivor than a 4v1. It is a team role after all, okay? Item number 3 is grouping up. This one takes insane game sense and knowledge, but is something you should be aware of and be practicing nearly all of the time. Now, as you rank up and killers start getting smarter and smarter, many killers will start taking advantage of survivors that group up, running 2 or 3 people from gen to gen multiple times in a row, all right? Think of it this way, all right? Say there are 4 gens remaining and the killer spots 3 of you on a gen together. Well, in the back of their head, the math gets very easy, right? They say, okay, well, there's 3 people here, only 1 person unaccounted for, so that person might be on a gen. That's only 1 gen that could pop if I start chasing these people, okay? If the killer ends up hitting multiple people before committing to a chase, hitting all 3 of you, and then you guys choose to heal or whatever, then you're not on a gen, you're healing. That is some good slowdown for the killer, all right? Now, if you don't heal, then that killer has an easier future chase, right? They finish up the chase with one person, hook them, find you, down you, hook you. Well, now this thing's gotten really messy, okay? Knowledge is power, ironically. Let's flip this. If a killer sees one lone survivor, there's a ton of pressure mentally, all right? They have to think to themselves, where are the other 3 survivors? Are they on 3 separate gens? Are those gens going to pop in my next chase, all right? And by the same token, if multiple gens do pop, then you guys are in a very good lead and the killer has maybe 1 or 2 hooks, all right? Grouping up is obviously really preferable and seems like the great idea to do, and you can get away with it a little bit in the early game and a little bit at the end, but in the middle game, things can snowball out of control quickly, all right? If you notice that the killer's getting lots of hook states and you guys aren't getting many gens done, or the game seems to have sludged or slowed down intensely, it's probably because you're all grouping up and having to play the unhooked game, bouncing between hooks, bouncing between heals, all right? Here is a really good example of what shouldn't be happening, all right? If your team is finding themselves like this a lot, there's definitely way too much grouping up. Most killers don't really slug a survivor unless they know that there are other survivors around to immediately pressure or to begin chasing, all right? Now, if a killer does slug a survivor and just runs off across the map to find where people might be, they're likely to lose their slug, right? It makes sense. So grouping up also makes you, as a survivor, more likely to be slugged and more likely for all 4 survivors to go down and have nothing they can do about it, all right? So if you don't like being slugged, be sure you're just not grouping up too much. Don't greed flashlight saves. Please stop body blocking when the hook is 5 feet away. Doesn't make any sense, okay? Item number 4, healing too much. This one's kind of complex, takes a lot of time to learn, and takes a little bit of boldness, but in terms of slowing a game down, the killer's most consistent tool is wounding people and forcing them to heal, all right? New survivors will heal at every chance they get, as their confidence in chases, their knowledge of where to go or what to do is fairly thin. This usually will buy new killers a decent amount of time to chase other people, apply pressure, keep people wounded, etc. In my opinion, unless I'm on death hook, or I can get an extremely fast heal, I don't really like to be healed too often, all right? Certainly there are killers that can kind of laugh at your heals as well, all right? I've seen teams trying to heal while Michael Myers is in tier 3 where he can instantly down somebody with 1 hit, which in the literal sense is a waste of time. You're healing so that he can down you anyway. Doesn't really help, right? I often run injured against Bubba so I can use perks like Resilience or Dead Hard to escape, all right? Legion and Plague also strongly benefit from your mending and healing actions and prey on you doing so. If you want to be effective at higher and higher levels, you may want to be okay with being injured for a little while, which may mean you dedicate some time to learning to loop killers and be very efficient at chases. In this particular Freddy match you're seeing, every time I was hooked, this team was trying to heal, and it was coincidentally grouped up, as we talked about in the last tip. So when Freddy warped to a generator, they would all scatter, leaving nobody on a gen, only 1 person healed, and giving him immense pressure. He didn't have to guess at where people were or feel panicked. He just kept scaring people away from the easy, obvious areas, all right? And that resulted in only 1 person escaping, okay? So not only did they group up, but they were healing every chance they could, which became their downfall. And item number 5, 3-genning yourselves. If you're finding that your team is slamming gens really fast in the early game and then gets stuck in a stasis towards the late game and inevitably dying, it's probably because you keep 3-genning yourself. 3-genning is when survivors by accident or killer design complete generators on one side of the map, allowing the killer to pressure the 3 or 4 remaining generators extraordinarily well without really having to go anywhere. 3 gens can be broken if the teammates play patiently and loop well, employing hit-and-run tactics, but this guide is intended to help you prevent 3 gens entirely. There are a few ways to prevent 3 gens, but the best one is to try to take out the middle generator on any map first. completing the middle generator first will make it so the killer has to protect gens that are on the outside edges or borders of the map, which nearly always breaks up a 3-gen or spreads gens out so survivors have enough time to do these hit and run sort of tactics. You can also complete gens in a sort of ping pong manner, okay? If you complete a gen on this side of the map, well, try to run to the opposite side of the map and complete one over there, okay? Of course, just because you break a 3-gen doesn't mean that the killer won't win. Again, in the case of this Freddy match we mentioned earlier, we weren't 3-gen'd, but the survivors also weren't split up on multiple generators. So the Freddy had the ability to pressure 3 people at a time repetitiously, resulting in our untimely demise. What do you guys think for these tips? What do you find that you're accidentally doing or not thinking about that could be getting you or your teammates killed? Let me know in the comments below. I'm glad to be back, and I hope you guys are having a great day. Of course, I will be looking forward to seeing you over on Twitch. I hope you subscribe to the YouTube here, and I'll be praying to the entity to see you in the next videos.